I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo?
No, not at all.
It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day even in the middle of the night.
What about enormous beds? After my time on the SS Buria, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other.
Oh yes, it really was the sort of the night you can only dream of normally. Except when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare.
I told you guys you should have accepted the money. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking.
In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill.
I really am sorry.
Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodgings straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less.
London is a scary place. Good morning to you at this early hour. Oh, yes, well...
Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday.
Susato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices.
Oh yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end.
Yes, I've already been apprised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh. No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land.
Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now.
Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem.
Another case already?
Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I?
It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it.
What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. Well, Lord Van Zieks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Hehehehe.
I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo? It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth, and then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. What? No! What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Was he the one inside the thing? Inside the cabin? I don't understand what happened. How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded has been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No! How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already the police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGilded. That's awful! A man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. It is time for the inspection. What? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. Oh! But then who was Mr. McGilded talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. Nice work, Susato. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Susato-san has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. Susato-san, can you please stop reading my mind, please? It's, unsettling. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? Does he know something about the evidence tampering? Or about Mr. McGilded? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is the undeniable truth, which is precisely why I have prepared a new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about a new case? Don't tell me it's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died as yet. And the trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Yes, I nearly forgot there's one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there's currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Wait, it's not a murder, so there's no capital punishment, probably. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There's something I would like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. I don't even know myself. Oh well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself, and there's another thing. Oh. Another thing? Continue. On the way here on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important? And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to... You are out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of this case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been there? So I wish you the best of luck and bid you farewell. Till tomorrow. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Why wouldn't he be pleased? Hey, he has chips. Chips. Where can I get chips myself? Fish and chips, right? Okay, we've heard of this before. Okay, I wish I could skip dialogue. Susato-san, you should really read less fiction, fantasy fiction. Go to trouble you.
What do you think?
Lovely weather, isn't it?
What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eating out of your hand, you know?
But Susato-san told me it was foolproof.
I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry.
Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to let us.
There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
Oh, she looked so serious when she said that. It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine.
Unbelievable! How did you pull that off?
So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard.
Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? You're acting like you know this man, Mr. Sato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he features prominently in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, and that publication. What's it called again? Rand's magazine? That's right, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible!
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad... Is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That doesn't sound like a compliment. That's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see?
That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name's are known all over London town now.
That's great, isn't it?
I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof.
That's wonderful.
No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than a man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure.
Rumors? Are you quite sure?
He's changed since he started appearing in these stories. The fame's gone to his head, stuff like that.
Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you?
Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folks are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as X is X.
Okay. So he's not sure at all. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear, perhaps the sudden rise to fame does change people. So, about the case that Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we are concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she still laid up in the hospital, unconscious. That's despicable! What sort of coward would attack a poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, would you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So, there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Baroque Van Zieks. No! Sounds like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zieks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Baroque Van Zieks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilder told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zieks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zieks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. Ha! And what of it? Oh, well, I think... that means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to the bloke? To that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah. Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Right, well, I filled you in as requested and I'm very nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place. That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already? He's as good as, shaking like a leaf in his cell he is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He is inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53, thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man they've arrested is innocent... You could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So... If I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself, and I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes, let's go. Ikimashou. To the prison cell. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo, you're making it seem worse. Apparently, our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding in the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat, as yet with no name? Calling me by a number? It's utterly unbelievable. Unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh. Oh? Do we know him? Excuse me, but who... Shush! Shush, quiet! They're all around hiding, I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you who exactly... There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost! A ghost? Is he alright? You mean you no harm, prisoner-san? Are you... Japanese, by any chance? This is... beyond my wildest dreams! Forgive me for that outburst before, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine, we were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Okay, would you stop being so weird? This just reinforces the Japanese stereotype here in Great Britain. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? Ah ha ha! What compassion my fellow countrymen show! To dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a foreign student. You're a foreign student? Noble, notary, never failing, Nippon! A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can, I will! Xian, stay silent and silent! I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but He seems happy.
Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba.
I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notoriously named Natsume. Soseki Natsume. Oh. Also a student. Sent by the government. Soseki Natsume-san. What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias?
That's right, Naruhodo-san.
No, don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of home.
Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government?
Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this. It's beyond the pale.
Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here?
No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can't do it, no.
What do you mean?
If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable.
Why? I see.
Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. White words on white washi. Wait, is he like speaking in haiku or something?
You must be a man of great standing.
Oh yes, so I am often told.
And often like to be told, it seems. Could you perhaps tell us exactly where you've been arrested, Soseki-san?
Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder.
Murder?
Oh, no. It's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes.
Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker?
I didn't see anyone.
What?
If I'd seen the person who did it. Do you think I'd be locked up in here?
Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated.
Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's a curse. It's a curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient.
So, Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case.
It was a cursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings.
Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too?
As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her... Oh! She suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the hard, cold slabs of stone at my feet.
How terrible!
I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish graveyard.
Slight exaggeration there, perhaps.
I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs could carry me back to my accursed lodgings.
That's not good.
No, they'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that.
It was. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours?
That would be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English and a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great.
So the victim was unknown to you and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it?
What conundrum?
How did they find out that you were there? What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that you didn't know the victim and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen.
I did!
But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit.
You! What did you just say?
Did you read my mind?
Nothing! I did not say anything.
Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yes, she's right.
It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck.
Accursed great detective? Could it be?
I should never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his hearty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, be gone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Herr Lock Shows! I knew it.
Mr. Sholmes? Herr Lock Sholmes. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure.
It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police, put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard. But I wasn't eating a weapon! Disgusting, dietary, discrimination, devils!
You clearly had a trying morning yesterday.
And there he was in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herr Lock Sholmes.
It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English.
I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London.
Yes, the great detective is really very well known.
And his overly sharp-minded managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman, me, this weak-stooped kitten of a man.
I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable.
Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in.
Of course you were. That's only natural.
I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing questions after question at me. It's in impossible English. Fiendish, foreign, flummery.
Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English.
Good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, "Yes, I do," and "I'm fine." The next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here.
Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine. He's not fine now.
What is he, Apollo Justice? Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo, and when we're speaking English, it's a simple mister is more than enough.
Oh, yes, alright, yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you?
Well,
Why is it so hard to say yes to me?
Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself on a study tour.
A student?
I have defended a case in the Old Bailey, only the one though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose.
But that armor, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire.
It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend.
A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me.
Oh, what do you mean?
The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me.
Goodness, why? Why do you say that?
For the same reason as you noted before, when it happened. There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit.
It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san.
And anyway, I'm a student from overseas, and I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said. And of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway.
That's awful.
They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there in the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one else here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through.
Soseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being.
What do you mean?
We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here all alone, waiting for you. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Okay.